Hi guys, this is Karen Blacher. I apologize for my appearance and for speaking so quietly. I'm actually shooting this at 11 o'clock at night, and my entire family is sleeping upstairs, so this is as loud as I can pitch my voice. I hope this comes out usable for you. This tutorial coming to you by special request. I'm going to be doing a Green Lantern mask. Actually really glad that you guys asked for this one because it's one that I've been meaning to design for a while. It's certainly timely since the Green Lantern is going to be the next big DC superhero to hit the big screen. So I did have a lot of fun designing this one. This one goes out to the J-Dub himself. Thanks for the request. Alright, for my Green Lantern mask, I'm going to be starting with, I'm using a number 4 round. Any, small to medium round brush will do. DFX Dark Green. I'm going to start by creating the mask worn by the Green Lantern in the comic, and then I'm going to create some embellishments above it to suggest the rest of his costume. So we're going to start with the shape of his mask, and I really love that his mask has this nice dramatic shape to it. It's very Robin Hood, or old school Robin, or Nightwing, or it's fun. It's one of those little dramatically shaped masks. Now, to save yourself the trouble of trying to make this symmetrical and trying to draw all of these straight lines, what I do is I'm actually going to create reference points and then connect the dots. So I'm going to start with a point just between the eyebrows here. Okay. Then I'm going to do, the mask is almost a double diamond shape, so I need to create that top point. I want to sort of follow the line of the brow, and I want the top point to hit. If the person's looking forward, it's just above the pupil, but a pupil is really not a good reference point when you're painting a real live person, especially a kid, because they move. So the pupil should line up with the arch of the eyebrow, and you want to go a little bit above the arch of the eyebrow. So like that. And then we just want to do one on the other side at about the same height. Okay. That's not exactly the same height. See, this is why you do little dots, because then you can erase it and start over. Isn't that easier than if I had drawn a whole line? Here we go. I'm going to try to place that at about the same height. There. That's going to have to be good enough. Same thing below the eye. So as you see, it's sort of an X shape. Then about an inch out from the corner of the eye, like midway between the corner of the eye and the hairline. And we're going to do a triangle on the nose. So there, there, and there. Okay, that's our mask shape, and now I'm going to connect the dots. Isn't it nifty how that works? Alright, now I also need to create a shape around the eye. I don't paint eyelids, a lot of painters do. I try to create dramatic designs without having to paint a child's eyelids, only because that's where a reaction is most likely to happen, also because then the paint is going to run into the child's eyes when they wash it off. So I'm going to actually create the shape of this mask close to the eyelid, but I'm staying above the crease and below the lower lid. That is as close to the eye as I ever paint, and it's actually even a little closer than I like to. Now that I've got the shape, I'm going to fill in with a sponge. Now, because you've got some very narrow spaces here, I used to actually fill in masks like this with a brush, but I find that you get faster and more even coverage with a sponge. So I am going to use a sponge, but my trick here is I'm actually going to pinch the end of the sponge, so I have a much smaller space that I'm working with. It also gives me much finer control, and I'm going to use that to fill in these little spaces around the eyes. is interesting to note that in the new movie, I believe they're not doing this shape to the mask. They're having a mask that extends all the way out to the hairline. So if you're short on time and you don't feel like defining that edge, you can get away with that and still be authentic. I like to go with the comic book look, though, because I think it looks cool. And I know in my very last tutorial I said always extend the mask to the hairline. Now I'm saying never say always. Alright, so there's your basic mask. I'm going to outline the mask with the DFX black. I'm going to put a relatively thick line because we're going to blend it. This isn't so much an outline as a shadow. I'm still using my number 4 round. You could go as big as number 6 on this, which I would be doing if I had one. But at the moment I do not. So I've got that black line around the mask. Then I'm going to take a 3/4 flat brush that's slightly damp. This is dry brush blending, but I never use a completely dry brush for dry brush blending because I find these paints dry so fast then it doesn't blend. So a very slightly damp brush. And I'm going to blend that black into the green. So it gives it this very comic booky shadow sort of look, like it's been inked by a comic book artist. And I really like that. I don't think face paint needs to look real. I think face paint should look very well painted. So that's what I'm going for with this effect. Alright. And I'm going to take a little bit more DFX black on my number 4 here. And I'm just going to add some extra shadow to the eye coming out. Oop, I didn't mean to flick it out past the mask. That would be silly. That, like, gives this fella eyelashes. But I want to flick it out to the end of the mask. Just adding some more shape, some more interest, shadow. So there we go. I apologize that this is so messy. It's just not worth it to keep taking it off and reshooting. There's the shape of the mask. But now to make this recognizable as the Green Lantern, I'm going to bring in some more elements of his costume above it in this space here. So I'm going to start with the Green Lantern's emblem. I do want to show you a trick I'm doing here. If you don't have separate brushes for white and colors, which you really should, but if, like me, you're poor and you only have one set of brushes, keep 2 sets of water. So if you're rinsing a really dark color, like a green or a black off your brush, rinse it in your color water first. I don't know if you can see in there. It's green. Rinse it in that first, blot it off, and then keep a second water for your white and rinse it again. So you know you're not bringing that color in to muddy up your white. So that's my poor man's face painting trick of the night. Coming in with some DFX white here. The Green Lantern's emblem is one of the easiest superhero emblems to draw. The only trick is to center it. But what it is a stylized lantern over a white circle. So I'm going to put the white circle, like I always do, smack in the center of the forehead here. I'm not going to be as much of a perfectionist tonight as I usually am, so my apologies. I just don't want to shoot this again. And I do still have a little bit of green in my white, and I apologize for that as well. This should look cleaner. Alright, white circle in the center of the forehead. Then I'm going to take the green, again, my DFX dark green. The Green Lantern's emblem It's, like I said, a stylized lantern, but it's wonderfully stylized. It's so stylized that it's only 3 shapes. It's a circle and 2 lines. So the only trick really is getting your green circles centered over the white. Once you've got that, the rest is cake. So I've got my green circle, and just a horizontal line at the top and bottom. There's your Green Lantern emblem. Now I'm going to outline this with black. Before I do, though, what I want to do is take a little bit of DFX white. I'm going to clean my white here because it's bugging me now that it's muddy. Give me 1 second. Okay, if you find that you're mixing other colors onto your white, just wipe it. You don't even need a wipe, just a damp paper towel. Just wipe the top layer of paint off, and poof, you've got crystal clear, pristine white. Now that I've healed my white, before I do the top part of this mask, I want to take a very thin brush in my DFX white, and I want to just put a very thin white line at the top of this mask. I'm doing this because I'm going to wind up putting black above it, and I want to keep this really great shape that we've got. So I just want to highlight this with a white line. Just the V. Now, I'm going to take my number 4 with my DFX black. I'm going to outline my emblem. Okay. And then I'm going to come up in a V to the hairline. I'm going to fill in with my sponge. Alright, you know what? I lied. I recommend filling in with the sponge, but I'm going to fill in with my brush because I want the precision here. Because I hear my children waking up upstairs and I'm going to have to go up there and face paint. So, I want to finish this tutorial. Here we go. The reason I'm up at 11 o'clock at night is because my children are sick and I'm waiting for their coughs to wake them up, which it sounds like one of them just has. Aren't I a wonderful mother? So, there we go. I've got the black V, and I'm going to finish this design off with DFX white in this empty space up to the corner. And normally I'd do it with the sponge tonight. I'm not feeling the sponge. I'm going to do it with the brush. So I'm just going to fill in. This is really too small a brush to be doing this, but I have a little face, so it's okay. This is something else you need to know. When you see me doing designs on myself, I am a woman of very little forehead. Your average child, the average face you're going to be painting this on will have more. So I might use a much smaller brush than you will find yourself having to use. A 3/4 flat works real well for this on a normal person. So does a sponge. So I'm going to come down to the corner here. Fill this on in. And there you have it. A Green Lantern mask. So now here's the mask he actually wears in the comic book. The rest of this is inspired by what you would find on his chest in the comic book. If you wanted to do the emblem as a cheek art, I wouldn't do it on a black field. I would actually do the black V starting here and do green below it because that more closely mimics the costume. So there is my Green Lantern face painting design. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can use it. Thank you.